What's up, y'all? This is Coach Skip Funny. I'm back at it once again. And I'm coming out this book, The Daily Life of the Origins of the Tasmanian. And I'm doing this for Black Asia, African and Pacific. This book, like I said, Origins of the Tasmanians is by James Bonswick, a fellow of the Anthropological and the Intercontinental Studies in London, author of The Last Tasmanians. This book is old. It's an old book. I think it came out about the 18-something, late 1800s, But the reason why I'm bringing this out and using these books like that, you got some of these type of New Age so-called scholars, these New Age cats around here that don't believe in, that material's outdated and blase spleen. But then when you get to check their references, their sources, their sites and stuff like that, it's just basically just them, saying this stuff. Or some new age monkeyshit.com made up website, So whose sites are bad, they damn self. So, I'm coming straight from a book. A book that I read at the time. I sat my ass down and read 400 pages. I'm not coming off no little made up monkey ass blog site or whatever, whoopie whoop. Some of these new age scholars, man, I don't know what to say. The scholarship has really been piss poor as of late. So, that's not really academia-wise. So we need to, combat this stuff, this madness. And this is going, like I said, is going in the video thing about Black Asia. And we're going to talk more about what was going on in Asia, because he goes a little bit more in depth about Asia and how African it was. That's the term they using and whatnot. African it was or not. The cultural affinities and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? So let's get deep into this. Now if you got a problem saying this stuff is outdated and old and whoopty whoop, show me, do your own shit. Show me what you done read. You know what I'm saying? Put that on the floor. But if you ain't reading no books and you just going through, .com this and .com that, you know what I'm saying? I mean, your scholarship is just, a couple pages thick, a couple pages too short of a lot of pages short, really, of a book. I just really know I'm not going to really feel you like that. That's just me personally. Scholarship, just like form, is the backbone of study. So we're going to go a little bit more deeper into this. All right. I'm starting right up here. Hope y'all can see the arrow. A connecting link between India. Let me blow this up a little more. A connecting link between India and Africa is furnished in some tribes westward by the Indian Ocean. A remarkable race called the Adam, or slaves, became first known to the Europeans in 1850. They were living in south of Arabia and were held by the Arabs as unclean and uncivilized. Their color and customs assimilate those literals Abyssinians. Abyssinians is another name of Ethiopian, with whom they doubtless were one people before the dreadful flood took place, still perpetuating the same straits of Babu Amamin or the gates of tears, which divided the family. They are definitely remnants of the old Kushite or Hammeretic stock. The Kushites who were once spread even from the Mediterranean to India were Ethiopians. Mr. Palgrave, when in Arabia, found a link between the Arab and Abyssinian and the Chattic tribe. He regarded the Hammerites as of African origin. The Chaldeans were undoubtedly Hamitic. The early archaic in his comments to Asia and Africa. Mr. Logan was of the opinion that the Indo-African preceded the East Asian, which developed the Mali-Polynesian tribes. He thought the whole western margin of the Indian Ocean basin, from the Red Sea to Kaffirland, gave the words and customs to the eastern islands. All right, let me read it again. Mr. Logan was dependent that the Indo-African preceded the later East Asian, which developed the Polynesian tribes. He thought the whole western margin of the Indian Ocean basin, from Red Sea to Kaffirland, gave words and customs to the eastern islands. That's the eastern islands about the Pacific. In fact, so strongly he was impressed with this idea, he is to declare, we must go to Australia and Polynesia to understand the character of the Indo-African era of the archipelago. Madagascar presented another field of inquiry besides floral evidence and ethnology, indicates the presence of a race belonging to the old Papuan type. doubtless left stranded on the island when the old southern continent was submerged. From during narrative published in 1728, we read from the Zemmbars of Madagascar, of a different species as it were the rest of mankind, in a language particular to themselves. They were, like the Papuans, often spotted like leopards with dry scabs. They pay an awful regard to the new moon. They continually shift their habitations. The shipwrecked sailors thought them the first inhabitants of the land. The preface of this old book said, the Zemmbars indeed, by their woolly hairs, must have come from the southernmost part of Africa. Mr. Ellis described the western race in the islands of Savannah having a deep crisp but not woolly. The Bismarcks on the east are said to have flat noses, woolly hair, and no religion. Mr. Coleman referred to their antiquity, saying it is probable that the human history of Madagascar numbers many thousands of years. Two difficulties arose in the minds of Madagascar authorities. Cobden was puzzled by the account of certain old-fashioned customs as circumcision among the people, when these were then without ships. But this is difficult, he said, and will vanish, and when it's considered that the ark of existence in Ham time. For many years after, and consequently, his children had a model to work by. Jury, in his simplicity, was puzzled about such black folks being there, and asked if none but Noah, with his sons and daughter, were saved, pray, was Noah a white or a black man? And yet, the blacks was no unimportant element in ancient civilization, and is recognized in places where he never expected to be seen. Not only is the Hindu god Vishnu black, let's go to the deities. Not only is the Hindu god Vishnu black, but the god Batta has woolly hair. So the two main gods in India are black. So you know what I'm saying? So you just go straight to the deity. You know what I'm saying? Look at the deity, and I tell you what the people in the land look like. This much surprising the philosopher Bali, who remarked, no black of Asia, however, has hair of the same kind. From this, I inferred that he was a stranger. Some would add, and a civilizer. The thought of Egypt was the Battala of India. Let me read this again. The thought of Egypt was the Battala of India. Camper writes, Amida, or the Xaca of the Japanese, the foe of the Chinese, and the Batta of the Indians, and the Bedham of the Ceylon Islands, the islands of Ceylon, and the Sommonarhutana of Siam, and the Sommonarhutana of Pegu are the same, one of the same personages. So all these people that was his name are knockoffs of Thoth, showing the Egyptian culture being out there. The thick lips and flat nose and broad face of the figures in the old caves of India point to an African type. Buddha is seen with black ringlets like a Tasmanian, all right? Sir W. Walter Jones even affirms that the black race once ruled over Asia. It is equally remarkable that the most ancient images of Christians should bear a similar type. Not only we have black virgins in Italy, but black bambinos has sometimes quite a Negro face. Minimum has the same. Bryant's in ancient mythology says, though the Indians seem to have general straight hair, yet their deities are often described as very woolly. Then it is added, those who imported this notion and framed these figures copied their own complexion and the complexion of their ancestors. Carl Varro observed lately, our civilization came not from Asia, but from Africa. And here has proved that cultivated plants in Swiss lake villages are African and to a greater state Egyptian origin. So he's saying that went way deep into Switzerland. This is how deep our people done went. But we still messing with black Asia. We still seeing on that. As you see, most of the guys who went through Asia were black, period, with woolly hair. After all, Bailey might be saying it right. The people of Asia were depositories and not inventors. Where there's space, it would be a temptation to show that Eastern Asia and the continual islands, together with Australia, were not the only places resembling landmarks of Aboriginal period. Apart from the very existing revelation of American iniquities and the exploration of Europe's savannah, there is no myth of our existing civilization of two living operating races identified with the mysterious past of Europe, long before the advent of the Celtic and the Saxon. These are Finns of the north and Basques of Biscayne of Spain. In Estonia and the Wales of Russia, well may be seen a broad-faced, short-door race having little intercourse with the Russian although converted to Christianity by bloody baptism, still burying their dead in unconsecrated ground. The rooted Finns are said to be Vinelanders or Vinners, and next to them in iniquity. Finns are marsh dwellers. They are allied to the Vogues and the Parvum, and the Oskis and the Samis of Siberia, and the Yurgirians are the ugly ogres of the medieval story. There are Finn proper in Finland, Estonia, as in Estonia, and lives in Livonia, 5,000 in numbers. The Lapps in Lapland. The Czechs of Bohemia and the Margraves of Hungary are connected with this Aboriginal people who may have entered Europe from the Altai Mountains. Their language belongs to one family. The Basques, or the Ascalondums, have remained in a distinct period despite Contrits, Rome, and Gauls. Their language is unique, having, says William von Humboldt, a building good character, something accented like the American, with 10 cases of nouns and apparent periodicities of grammar construction. So a tongue led by M. to claim, with the bones of the mammoth and a relic of an unknown race which have perished, it remains a monument of destruction produced by the ages, the succession of ages. Beautifully did Dr. Hooker say in the opening of British Association, every fresh discovery concerning prehistoric man is built a pier upon some ground, but its tide has been disposed. And from these pillars will one day spring the arches that will carry further over the depths. Although the subject has been more than once hinted at, yet the citation of the few authorities and conjecture between the language and the origin may not be out of place and may be interesting to some readers. Professor Max M. Mueller says language is our Rubicon, and no brute would dare cross it. The inquiry, therefore, into the language will never be unprofitable. Mr. Logan, the Oriental expert, has taught us to remember that the informal approximation of the two connections of the races, an entire ethnic, including linguistic affinities of each with each other race, must be first studied. He gives a wise caution in remarking, ethnology is an attempt to recover lost history, and language is only one of those records which it uses. It is confounding theology and ethnology that the German philosophers have pushed their science far beyond its legitimate bounds. Mr. Pritchard, in his work, A Man Observing the Gutturology of the History of the Language, founded an accurate analysis in their relations. As such, it should not be thrusted forward too prematurely. Professor Max Mueller, the prince of modern comparative theologists, is enthusiastic in this produced and declared that the evidence of language is irrefutable, and the only evidence worth listening to in regard to acute historical periods. Tone Took takes a similar high ground when asserting language cannot lie, and from language of every nation, we may with certainty collect its origin. The Nestors of philosophers, Bumble, preaches of more moderation. Neither analogy or nor diversity of language, he said, can suffice to solve the great problem of the information of the nation. They can only afford simple probabilities. The subject of the family relations of the square languages of the savages is neither trivial or unnecessary. Mueller is able to write, the dialects have never produced any literature that is important, nay, for the solution of some of our problems of comparative physiology, more important than the poetry of Homer or the prose of Cicero. Bishop Watson made this prediction. Time will come when the mother language of all various dialects spoken in these islands will be discovered in some part of Asia. Sir Stanford Raffles was led from his Indian Isles experience and remarked that one of the language seemed to be a very remote period to have invaded the whole archipelago and have spread towards Madagascar on one side and to the islands on the South Seas on the other. The step was gained when Mr. W. Hunter could say that the Indian Aboriginals and the Chinese contain a common source of term, a common object, and common civil institutions for a primitive race. As has been remarked in chapter of language, the passive tonic and harmonic and similar symbols and the polysyllables may be esteemed a natural one. The Chinese preserve its integrity beyond any other tongue in the world, but cannot be regarded with all of monosyllable form as the parent. The obstacle in our path in the comparative ology is thus pointed out by the learned Mr. Wake. By the reason these acting lines do not meet because the common center from which they originate has been destroyed. As common ethnology, so distinctly the racist connection between the Indian Aboriginals and the Australians and the Tasmanian, so does the theology established by their kindred. Our distinctive Oriental scholar, Dr. Rose, assures us that the undeniable fact that the grammar skeleton of the Australian, Mongolian, and the Southern Indian languages is essentially the same and is not only distinct from Sanskrit, from that of Malay, Polynesian, Indo-Chinese, and some Himalayan tongues. Mr. W. Hunter said that the Aboriginal race of the Eastern Peninsula, Burma, and Indian north of the Bedham Range derived their speech from a common source to themselves in the Chinese. He regards a whole number of cases of the hair-like class among the mixed Hindus, both in ancient and modern times, as being derived from Aborigines. The philosophical argument is held to show that the iniquity of black people. So there you have it. I'm going to stop right there, because I can go a little bit more deeper and all that stuff like that and read more. But, it all comes back to us, the original people of the planet. But we came, like I said it before, it still had the motherland. The motherland was Africa, and it still was the basis of it. So this is more stuff on Black Asia, showing the deities and the gods of Asia were black. Plain blank, period. Every ancient deity, and it's a knockoff of thought. So this is where we at. How the hell you can't say we, our culture and spread it everywhere, and they still use it for the basis of everything. Things we got to talk about. Just ending on that note, you know what I'm saying? And yet the blacks was no unimportant element of ancient civilization, and is recognized in places where he was never expected to be seen, right? Because we everywhere. They don't expect us to see us there, but we here. We in Asia as right now, as we showing. Not only is the Hindu god Vishnu black, but the god Batta has woolly hair. This much surprised the philosopher Bailey, who remarked, no black of Asia, however, has hair of the same kind. From this, I infer that he was a stranger. Some add a civilizer. Okay? The thought of Egypt was the Batta of India. Kempfer writes, the Amida or the accent of the Japanese, the foe of the Chinese, the Batta of the Indians, the Bedham of the island of Ceylon, and the Sommonarhutana of Siam, and the Sommonarhutana of Pegu are one and of the same personage. The thick lips, flat nose, and broad face of the figures in the old caves of India point to an African type. Buddha is seen with black ringlets like a Tasmanian. Sir W. Jones even affirmed that the black race once ruled over Asia. It is equally remarkable that most of these ancient images of Christians should bear the similar type. Not only we have black virgins in Italy, but the black bambinos have sometimes quite a Negro face. Minimum has the same. All right? Although the Indians and Germans have straight hair, yet their deities are often described with very woolly, and added, these are the same copies and complexion of their ancestors prior before. So this is what we're talking about right here, Black Asian. The main deities out there are, doing corporal appropriation of our people. But you got to give it to the other people when they came over and took over the culture and whatnot, and the religious aspects and all the civil institutions. They made it towards their Mongolian or their, Aryan or whatever. They made it grafted towards them by putting them in the pictures, which they should be doing. That just shows intelligence. Anyway, this is the Coast Gift Fun Day. Y'all have a good one. This is on the series Black Asian. More to come on this. Like I said, I'm gonna show you I'm gonna get more deeper into the Egyptian of the Egyptian quality, the ancient Egyptian quality of Asia. We're gonna get more into that. Y'all have a good one. Peace.